Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I got a review for you of, this guy right here. This is the Ontario Rat model number 1. This is the bigger size of Ontario Rat. They also have a number 2 that's quite a bit smaller. But this is the Ontario Rat number 1 in AUS 8. Now this knife is kind of known as the best $30 knife you can get, at least one of them. And it's definitely one of the best budget knives you can get, and mainly because of the comfortability, the smooth action on it, and just the fact that it looks really nice. And also for me, this is an almost perfect size. This is coming in, I believe, just a hair over 8 inches. So you got a pretty good size here. I mean, this guy is a little bit bigger than your Para 2, maybe about the same size, I would say. You know, maybe a hair taller. This guy is slightly smaller than your Spyderco Enduro, which is almost 9 inches long. It is a little bit bigger than your Opinel here, as you guys can see. Not quite as big as your Opinel number 12, though, or your I don't know, maybe your Cold Steel Voyager. It's not quite as big as the Voyager or the Opinel number 12, but still a really great knife overall. I mean, again, you're not really expected to look at this and think, okay, this is going to be a ZT-0452CF. No, you're looking at this knife thinking, okay, this is a $30 knife. So how does this thing basically function, and how is it, in terms of overall usefulness? So saying that, we're going to go on to what I like and don't like about this knife, and if I can recommend this for you guys. So first, what I like about this knife. Honestly, the number one thing about this knife that I just absolutely love is the ergonomics. I mean, come on now. This thing literally melts in my hand. This is probably one of my most comfortable knives behind the ZT-0452CF. It's just so incredibly comfortable, and it melts in my hand. It literally just perfectly grips in my hand. Not to mention, you can choke up on this guy and get an even better grip if you guys wanted. Now, my hand is not super duper small. It's not super big either. I have a very medium-sized hand. I fit in a large to medium-sized glove. So you guys can see here, the fact that this fits in my hand, if you have a hand that fits a large glove, then this knife's perfect for you. It's just absolutely perfect. Another thing I want to mention that I really like about this knife in terms of its comfortability is the jimping. They really got their jimping right on this. It doesn't rub too hard. It doesn't cut your finger. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just really good jimping for me. And especially after having reviewed the Tough Light yesterday, this jimping is night and day better. It is just so good. Now, the next thing I really like about this knife is the fact that it's got a 4-position pocket clip. It can go in and tip up on the right side or tip down on the right side. It can also go tip down on the left side or tip up on the left side. So that's really nice. Good for left-handed users, right-handed users, people who like tip down carry, even though it's incorrect, and people who like tip up carry, which is correct. It's just overall really great. And another thing I want to mention, these thumb studs, really good. They really fit this knife. I do have some gripes with certain thumb studs, like this Voyager thumb stud is probably one of my least favorite thumb studs, just because it's so blocky. This one's got really good sloping on it, which makes it super duper comfortable to open. I could literally open and close this knife all day, which brings me to the liner lock, which is a very smooth liner lock with literally no lock stick. You guys can, in these videos, you can always imagine that misspeaking is going to happen. It's pretty much what I'm known for at this point, misspeaking. Anyways, the liner lock is just really smooth on this guy, and it makes it so I can just open this guy all day, every day. Which brings me to the other great thing about this knife, which is the smooth action. This guy's on phosphor bronze washers, and they just absolutely made this thing so smooth to open and close, and I just absolutely love it. They did a phenomenal job. Now, another thing I really like about this knife is the overall design. Looks really cool, functions really well. I don't see this blade shape very often, so it's really nice to see on this guy. It's a very unique blade shape that really fits this guy, and I love it to death. And then just kind of to sum up the things that I really like about this knife, the price. I mean, it's phenomenal. $30 and you're getting a nearly perfect knife, at least for the price. I mean, you're getting a comfortable handle with really comfortable scales. You're getting a fully lined knife that's going to be hard use and good to go. You have a blade shape that is super duper useful and works absolutely perfect. And you have amazing ergonomics that work really well. And the handle and the blade just mesh so well. It's a very unique shape for a knife, and I just absolutely love that. Now I'm going to go over what I don't like about this knife, which, believe it or not, for the first time, is not a lot. In fact, probably one of the few things that I don't like about this knife is the steel. The steel is just not it for me. I can't stand the steel. AUS 8 just doesn't do it for me. For me personally, it is just barely okay enough to carry. Just barely. And what I mean by that is I would not carry this day to day, this blade steel day to day, because I can't carry a sharpening stone with me all day. I can't sharpen my knife on the whim whenever I want. So this blade steel is just really annoying because it takes constant sharpening. It needs to be sharpened constantly. It does have good wear resistance though, so it doesn't rust and stuff like that. Or well, it could if you really tried hard enough, but it doesn't rust like, like an M4 or something like that. So overall, that's kind of cool. Is you got it's rust resistant. But again, for me, edge retention is very important, and this guy just doesn't have it. So that just absolutely bums me out. Also, I will say choking up is not super duper comfortable just because the fingers are going to be right next to each other, and it just feels weird because this guy's raised, but not a lot. So it's not uber comfortable, could be more comfortable, but nothing I can really complain that much about. And believe it or not, there's only one more thing that I don't like about this knife, and that's the writing on the blade. Now, I've talked about this before. I hate it when companies do this really big, obnoxious logo on the blade. And this one is literally taking up this whole section here. It's not down here where it's a little more out of the way. It's literally smack dab on the blade. And don't get me wrong, like, we do see this from Spyderco, but their logo is just this little tiny bug right there. And by the way, I'm not a huge fan of that either. I'm not a fan of it being right there. I'd much prefer it to be back here and kind of out of the way. This guy is just a little more obnoxious with that. But I also do understand that you can get an aftermarket blade that's going to be using like an S35 or an S30V that actually has this wiped off as well as what type of steel, or I think it does have what type of steel is written on this, which, real fast, just off topic, you guys can find these on an aftermarket store, and people will actually go in and like give this guy aluminum handles and give this guy an upgraded blade steel or even titanium handles. I've seen titanium handles. So like that's kind of cool. This guy does have a lot of different variations if you really look for him. But anyways, back to this piece. It's just annoying and a little obnoxious looking, and again, as I've said before, it just looks tacky to me. Now, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit to the AUS 8 here. You can get this in D2 steel, but keep in mind D2 comes about $10 extra, I think it's actually about $5 to $10 extra, depending on where you buy this. I personally bought mine on Amazon, and I did find another one of these that was literally only $41, and this guy I got for $32. So it's kind of like, okay, you're getting a little less, you're getting a better steel for not that much more, but it does bump up the price a little bit. And obviously we're looking at a $30 variant, and we're trying not to bump up to a $40 variant. So price is great, blade steel's not. So that's just something to remember. So if you want this in D2, you're gonna have to pay a little extra and get a better steel. I would recommend doing that if you are thinking about purchasing this knife. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much all I don't really like about this knife. I mean, otherwise, this is an amazing blade and an amazing knife just in general. It's super comfortable in the hand, has a really cool blade. It's just overall just a great knife. I mean, this is literally one of the better knives that I own. This guy literally, in terms of favorite knives that I've been able to hold and own, this guy is going to be pretty up there on the list just because it is so cheap and it is so useful, and it's so nice looking and feeling in the hand, and it's really a useful piece. personally, I would try to get this blade without the giant Ontario Knife Company logo on the blade, but at the same time, like, it's still a cool looking knife. Just because it looks a little tacky with that on the blade doesn't mean that this guy's not a good knife. And so I will say I highly, highly recommend this knife. I mean, out of every knife I've reviewed thus far, with the Opinel number 8, number 12, with the Toughlight Mini and the Toughlight, this guy 100% you gotta pick up. I mean, this is probably one of the best budgetary knives. Now, again, my other knives I reviewed were also pretty budgetary. And if you were thinking of getting a Toughlight or this guy, or if you were thinking about getting an Opinel or this guy 100%, you need to go for it. No matter who you are or what kind of knife you like, this guy's going to do it for you. I promise you. But again, try to hold it. Try to make sure that it's your style. Obviously, it's not everyone's style. So, you know, try to find one in person if you can. Obviously, you might have to go online and make that purchase kind of on a whim like I did. But I promise you won't regret it. This knife has my recommendation 100% of the way. This is one of the better knives out there, especially in this price range. It's probably the best knife in this price range. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. I know this review is a little all over the place. Again, I'm a college student. I'm kind of fast moving. I have a lot of stuff to get done today, but I figured I'd give you guys a review just because I love doing this, and I love giving you guys some reviews, and it's just fun for me, especially because I've been waiting to review this knife for a very long time, ever since my first video. So I'm very happy I was able to get this guy out there for you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, whatever you guys want to do. I just hope that you guys enjoy these videos, because, you know, these really do kind of do me a lot of good, because they're very fun to make, and you know, I want to keep making these, and knowing that you guys are enjoying these just makes me happy, and I really do appreciate the views and everything, guys. So with that being said, thank you.